Now, you've heard of her before, clearly. 6 books, 5 of them bestsellers, a nationally syndicated column, and regularly she says interesting things, and yet everybody continues to want to talk to her, although some say that they don't, strangely enough. And you'll recognize the name, of course, Ann Coulter. Ann, thank you very much for joining me.
Anytime.
I appreciate this very much. We're looking at the presidential elections right now, and obviously you're one of the keen observers of this. We look particularly right now at the Republican side as the debates continue. Tell me, from your perspective, what would make the best Republican presidential candidate? Because right now a lot of people seem to be confused and, well, kind of irritated by all of them.
I think Romney or Giuliani, both with many flaws, and yet with many good points as well. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, and what Giuliani did to this city is amazing. It is spectacular. I have a virtual love letter to him in my last book, Godless, and he governed everything he actually did as governor, as opposed to pointless liberal rhetoric to placate liberals, was very conservative. On the other hand, there is that little unborn babies sleeping peacefully in their mother's womb issue, and I don't know that I could even vote for him for president. If you have trouble getting my votes as a Republican nominee, I think you could be in trouble. I think there are probably ways he could satisfy that. I tend to think he probably would appoint conservative justices, and that is the most important issue. But I think he just ought to say, I mean, the sheer arrogance involved of his seeking the nomination of the Republican Party as a pro-choicer kind of irks me. I know he doesn't want to be seen as a flip-flopper, but I don't know why he can't just say, I'm seeking the nomination of a pro-life party. I pledge I will govern as a pro-life Republican. And yeah, there are a few other issues I disagree with him on, the sanctuary city, and I think gay marriage, but I also think the American people have spoken pretty clearly on both of those issues. I mean, we disagreed with our own president on amnesty. Romney, I think, similarly, I don't know the details of what he did as governor, but I do know he cut spending and he cut taxes, and both of them get good grades from various, what is it, citizens, so I can't remember, the conservative spending groups like Americans for Tax Reform. And that was in very, very liberal states. They governed as conservatives. Every time I watch a debate, and I may be the only person who has watched all of the debates, or one of about a dozen.
Some of them were pretty boring, let's face it.
Oh, yes, but I got to say, Giuliani is really a standout in debate. So he has a lot of strong points and a lot of weak points. And Romney, we'll see. I think it's going to be one of those two. Let me also put it that way. This isn't simply a desire. It's also stating what I think to be true. Ann
Coulter is my guest. The name of her latest book, If Democrats Had Any Brains, They'd Be Republicans. Why can't we distinguish between some of their personal views, I mean, some of the things that they think sort of socially versus the fiscal side of this, and simply say, that's the guy we want or that's the woman we want, depending on how you see it, and then go with that rather than sort of what they think personally? I mean, who really cares in the end?
Well, I think we are, but Giuliani did say that, we're a sanctuary city and prohibited New York City policemen from asking about citizenship status. That's an actual policy.
When we look at other things, again, I've read all of your books, and I appreciate the time today. One of the things that I see you do is you have a tendency, and this is not a criticism, and clarify if I'm wrong here, that you see things as this side says this and this side says that. You'll say liberals say this. Is it really that simple? I mean, is it really that black and white in your mind?
Well, it's more the process of communication. Every time I'm talking about ideas, you do need to use categories. Categories, that's what we call words. That's how you communicate things. And, every time I mention Democrats or liberals, I don't want to have to drop a footnote and say, except Joe Lieberman.
He's a liberal?
Yes, as I call him, the only Orthodox Jew for partial birth abortion. I love taunting him on that. But he's very good on national security, and at the moment that's As Jerry Falwell said, that is the most important issue facing the nation. I mean, we're not going to have any lives to protect if we don't stand as a nation against terrorism.
You've received a lot of criticism for some of the most recent things you said about Jews being perfected. Do you think that people are correct when they go after you about that, or do you think that you were trying to make a point that they just miss?
No, I think they understood the point just fine, and the host of the lowest-rated show on cable TV wanted to get some publicity by lying about what I said and claiming to be, so offended. And it hasn't worked as well as he wanted to. I actually, I haven't been asked about it very much because anyone can see the tape and see there was absolutely nothing offensive. I mean, usually when I'm involved in one of these defamation campaigns, it's a joke that they've, removed the humor from, twisted around, and repeated in earnest crusading anger. This was nothing of the sort, and what I actually said could be offensive to no one. Except the irreligious. That is what it has turned into. It's way beyond Christianity. It is a battle of the irreligious against the religious, which is why, all these Orthodox Jews keep posting things and calling into radio shows saying, yeah, that's the Old Testament and the New Testament. She's absolutely right. There was nothing offensive this time.
But you have said outrageous things about Timothy McVeigh bombing the New York Times building, talking about some of the 9/11 widows, even talking about the question of what Jews need to be perfected, looking at the Bible. But those can be considered very outrageous to a lot of people.
I didn't say Jews need to be perfected. As I say in my book, the way you run through these, if what I say is so outrageous, why don't people quote me accurately? This is not perfected in the sense of terrific, good. Perfected means completed. That is what the New Testament is. This is a straight doctrinal point. You could look up the most basic definition of the New Testament on the Oxford University Dictionary, in the Catholic Encyclopedia. The famous priest, Father, John Richard Newhouse, I think I got that right, maybe gotten the first and middle names confused.
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Meaning terrific in this case. This is a pristine description of what the New Testament is. The entire Old Testament anticipates a Christ. They say we got the wrong guy. But the New Testament, for Christians, is the perfection of Judaism. This is the one case, I assume, all people who actually believe their religions, as opposed to Democrats who just claim to believe in God and don't, think that everyone should be whatever their religion is, whatever it is, veganism, feminism, the Democratic Party. This is the one case where one religion completely believes all the tenets of another religion. Christianity does accept all of the Old Testament. We think our Testament completes it, or perfects